Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Higurashi When They Cry, Tatarigoroshi. We're nearing the end just a little bit. So, what happened last time? Taken, the body wasn't there. The body wasn't there. Oh, what else? Everybody acting sus as usual. Oishi showed up, and he was really aggressive. He was really aggressive. Almost got caught by the police. Right. Yeah. Alright. Load. Alright. Oh heck, hold on. Freaking chat is appearing twice. I can get out of here. There we go. Okay. Spooky music. The body wasn't there. Oh, hey. Oh my god. The police didn't arrest me because of that. I didn't know whether to feel happy about it. It's like Satoko had said, I'd failed to kill her uncle. The body wasn't there, so I was forced to conclude as much, no matter what strange natural disaster, coincidence, or miracle it might have implied. In order to free Satoko, I became a demon. And this abnormal world was my reward. Yes, metaphorically, I had fallen into the demon world. But if that price had been in exchange for the life of Satoko's uncle, then that would have been fine. Since Satoko's uncle was still alive, still shackling to her to him, I needed to become a demon once again. One more time. No, as many times as it took. I would kill that man over and over again until Satoko was liberated. I had already awoken. Looked at the clock to see that it was early in the morning, just about 5. It was already light outside. As I hardened my resolve to become a demon again, I could feel my whole body teeming with awakened power once more. Oh god. Time wasn't an issue. No matter what, I'd do it. I got myself up. The exhaustion from the past 2 days was completely swept away. I didn't even feel sleepy anymore either. Man, I wish I had that. I slowly rose and made sure my body was moving like I'd want it to. I could feel blood flowing through each and every one of my fingers. As I got dressed, I let my mind wander, and had a strange thought. These 2 days, while I've said it was for Satoko's sake, the only thing on my mind had been killing. I'd said it was for Satoko, but while actually carrying out the act, I'd completely forgotten about Satoko, albeit only temporarily. Maybe initially it was for Satoko's sake, but now I was just a demon, killing for the sake of killing. No, you're just making excuses. And as a result, I'd sunk into the world fit for such a demon. Maybe it was the same for Satoshi. He resolved himself to kill his aunt to save Satoko, became a demon, then disappeared from the sunlit Mizawa, vanishing into the demon world. Which meant that, after all was said and done, I'd met the same fate as him. I tried to avoid making the same mistakes, but it happened anyway. Which meant that maybe Satoshi was here. Satoshi had come to this world a year before me, so he would be here somewhere. Then, surprised, I'd stopped walking. There was a second set of footsteps I've grown so used to hearing. Could you be Satoshi? Oh, maybe. Hi, Brad. How you doing? The empty, lifeless air wouldn't give me an answer. But I feel a strange kind of relief that there was someone there. Satoshi had stuck with me the whole time. Let's go, Satoshi. Once more. This time we will set Satoko free for sure. I quietly slipped out of the house so my parents wouldn't notice. They caught me now when I'd be out way too late for 2 days now. They give me a really angry talking to. I didn't have the time to allow for that to happen. Today, I would put an end to it. If the dead body disappeared, then I didn't have to bury it. It would just burn it. I could just burn it to ashes and take them with me so I could kill him again every time he resurrected. I'd do it again. I'd kill him again. And this time I'd set her free. Outside, the morning light was so beautiful as to stagger belief. I went to the storage room to find weapons with which I could kill him for sure. Blunt or not, it didn't matter to me. Right now, I didn't need to care whether someone saw or if the police came. The world had gone crazy, after all. A world where I'd shown up at the festival and had fun even though I wasn't there. Even the police arrested me, I'd probably end up going right back home as if nothing had happened. Both me and that other Keiichi Maebara. Even without me, he'd fill in. I could vanish from Hinamizawa without anyone noticing. Basically, I didn't care if I was mistakenly killed. Even if I died, Keiichi Maebara would remain. Maybe it is a doppelganger situation. So like, he killed the original uncle, and then the doppelganger showed up. I don't know. After all, this isn't the world I belong in. I was going to be killed mistakenly for Satoko's sake. That was just part of my duty as her Nini. As those desperate thoughts became serious, the morning air felt more refreshing to me, strangely enough. But where was the body? I don't know. You're asking me these questions and I don't know the answers to. Oh, this one's scary. Let's go with this. It was a hatchet meant for chopping thick firewood. Oh god. Its hefty steel blade was sinister, almost as though it was a tool meant for killing people. Couldn't exactly take it out in public like that, so I wrapped it in some old newspaper and tossed it into a basket on my bike. Sorry for using you for evil all the time. I'll need you again today, my legs. Isn't that what Rena had in chapter 1? Nah. That was something different. What I'm imagining here is like the really thin, axe. You know? Not an axe, but like a hatchet. Like, almost for cutting meat, but it's for firewood. You know? That's what I'm imagining anyway. I apologized to my bike for some reason. The past 3 days, I've only used it for dangerous things. And she had that kind of hatchet too. She had a certain type of hatchet. But I don't think it was meant for firewood. You know? Like, I know what it looks like. It was really long. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, true. I'd been riding this bike ever since I lived in my old town. I could walk most places I wanted to go, so I hadn't used it all that much. My mom had bought it for me when I entered cram school, thinking it would be a convenient way to get to the station since it was far away. But I'd always used to get it back and forth from cram school. I only ever put textbooks and class materials in the front basket too. Music is loud? Alright. Thank you for letting me know. I don't want to be blasting your eardrums. Alright. I never tried to put a hatchet that I'd be using to kill someone in there. When I came to Hinamizawa, life finally felt fun. I met the best friends ever and had some of the greatest times ever. Those times might have been shattered now, but it was my greatest wish that I could get them back, even if I had to risk my life to do it. That's how fun those times had been. I killed someone. Now I was at it again, needing to kill someone. Murder was a crime. I didn't believe that people should ever think murder was okay. But still, times I had were enjoyable enough for me to commit such a crime. My friends were irreplaceable, and the time spent with them was a treasure. Hanging out, laughing, sometimes tricking each other, but always in a friendly way. I didn't fear committing any crime, as long as it was for the sake of taking back those times that gave my heart so much pleasure. So in a way, he's being very selfish. So it's not like 100% for Satoko. It is for him getting back those times. Yes, this was a valley I decided to uphold. It wasn't something I'd learned from a school teacher. It was a noble path that I chose for myself. I thought back to when I'd first come to Hinamizawa. About how on the very first day Satoko welcomed me via a blackboard eraser with a rock in it. That welcome really surprised the heck out of me. She would laugh, get angry, cry. She was never boring. She was obviously the most childlike one among us. But she was actually lively, full of vim and vigor, and good at meddling in people's businesses. Business? That went for Mio and Rena and Rika-chan too. Wasn't Satoko the one at the center of everyone's laughter and banter? Laughing and banter? Satoko would try to look cool. Then Mio would make fun of her endlessly. Then Satoko would cry, which would put Rena in a state of ecstasy. Rika-chan would be greatly delighted. And I happened to get mixed up in it. He would always fool around like that. He was lonely when someone wasn't around, but if I had to name one for whom it was the worst, it would have to be Satoko. Her smile was everyone's smile. Ever since she stopped smiling, so did the rest of us. And for the rest of us, not smiling was the same as dying. It was just like when I was silently going to cram school every day just to maintain my unchanging test scores. So basically, we were nothing when she wasn't smiling. She was full of hot air, but she was our princess, cute and unhateable. Not exactly unhateable, but... In that case, I was her knight, searching for the dragon's castle in order to win her smile back. Knights, of course, use swords. The awesome two-handed kind. Probably the only knight in history of the world to be taking on someone with a thick, rusty hatchet. And I saw an old woman on the ridge of a field waving to me. Oh my, Keiichi-kun. Out for a morning ride, I see? Good morning. Reflexively waved back in a refreshing way. Could I have really been feeling so happy and waving like that? Satoko's house would be right past this road, going beyond the rice paddies. Man, he's going straight there and going to murder him. Like, in broad daylight. Oh my god. He doesn't have any plan or anything. He's just going and doing it. The cicadas had woken up too. The next thing I knew, I was the audience for their daily chorus. Gave myself a hit or two in the head, and drove away my merry morning mood. I took a deep breath, tilted my head back, quelling my pointless excitement. The body wasn't there. Its absence either meant my killing him had been an illusion, or I'd killed him and risen from the dead. If I was at the festival, then maybe I should have considered it an illusion. Butch probably thought that way, which is why he treated me like a lunatic. But it being an illusion was just impossible. Right, that happened too. He went to the freaking hospital. I killed him without a doubt. Without a doubt. If that had been an illusion, then what would make all of the Hinamizawa I was in right now an illusion? If that was the case, then here's how it would end up. I was actually in a vegetative state due to a traffic accident, and I was currently dreaming in the hospital bed of how great it would be to spend these times with friends in rice paddies like these. That was a terrifying thought, though. If this wasn't an illusion, then the only possible answer was that he'd resurrected. It would make him a literal monster. But if he was such a monster, then I was no less than a monster than myself. I didn't hesitate to kill someone, and I could even manipulate curses. Takano-san had died probably because I'd cursed her. Or maybe that was a little much. Coach and Oishi died too, like I'd cursed them to yesterday, then I'd believe it. We'll see. We'll see if they actually die. I set my bicycle aside and went to take a look. His motorbike wasn't there. Of course it wasn't. I sent it down to hell that night, going into the Onigawachi swamp. Or maybe, just like how the corpse wasn't there, maybe the motorbike didn't get thrown into the swamp either? The fact that his bike wasn't here might have been because he got into town and hadn't come back. Not necessarily because I'd thrown it into the swamp. Her uncle wasn't around, and that was convenient on its own. And I would just show myself in and wait for him to return, sharpening my hatchet. If he was there. Forgotten sensations came back to my gut. A feeling of tension rose within me. Sensation was like poison, dulling my actions, but it would also be the trigger to allow myself to awaken to my superhuman otherworldly self. I held the hatchet, still wrapped in newspaper. The weight in my hands was profound, sinister, and reliable. I didn't know what time it was without a clock, but it would probably still be a little before 7. Satoko would probably be awake, preparing breakfast and her lunch, but her uncle would probably still be wallowing in indolence. A guy like him probably would have stayed up late drinking, and probably always slept until noon. That's not always a bad thing, right? I considered ringing the doorbell and having Satoko open the door for me, but if her uncle woke up at that sound, I'd waste my chance of killing him still being asleep. If Satoko saw me sneaking inside without ringing the doorbell, she'd be surprised. If I ran into her, what would I say? I've come to kill your uncle for you, so stay quiet. No, I couldn't do that. That would be like making Satoko responsible for his death. Be quiet and go wait outside. Maybe that would do it. How would Satoko react to that? She'd probably try to get me to give up on killing him. I'd have to lie somehow to get her to go outside. Satoko didn't need to know that a murder was going to occur in this house. Yeah, he's really just gonna go in there and do it, you know? Yeah. I couldn't quite think of a good lie to tell her, but I couldn't do as much just standing around like this. Made up my mind and grabbed the doorknob. Then slowly turned it and pulled. It wasn't locked. The gap between the door and the wall steadily grew larger. The chain wasn't even on. The oppressive smell of life in Satoko's house hit me. At the entrance, there was a few pair of shoes and sandals. I couldn't tell whether he was here or not just by looking at them. I could hear a television on somewhere. Oh, Jesus Christ, this place is a mess. The television was in the messy dining room. There was food scattered about the table, giving an impression decidedly different from a happy family's mealtime. Meals were for eating food while thanking the person making it. Meaning whatever occurred in this dining room wasn't a meal. Nobody in sight. No sign of anyone either. But with that television on, he must have been close. Would he have anticipated my coming and be hiding, waiting for me? No way. The tension I felt was so thick, so tight that I thought it would choke me. The newspaper wrapping the hatchet's thick blade didn't hamper its power at all. I tightened my grip on it, then very carefully took a look around. Where had those peaceful feelings from before I arrived here gone? Even the sound of sweat bubbling on my brow got on my nerves. And then I looked at the table and realized something. This wasn't breakfast. Grains of boiled rice were all hard and dried up. Then, was it last night's dinner? I left the dining room, keeping vigilant, when went down the hallway and found the stairs to a second floor. When that man was playing with his friends, he looked out of a second-story window. It was highly possible that that room was his own, and that he slept there. I tiptoed to the edges of the stairs, quietly climbing, without making a sound. I couldn't hear any type of soaring. I didn't hear anything up there. I went through a few rooms, slowly and quietly opening the paper doors, checking inside. But I still couldn't find anyone around. To search more efficiently, I got down on the floor and pressed my ear right up to it. I could hear the television in the dining room, a low hum, perhaps of boiling water. It was then I started to harbor some feelings of suspicion. This house wasn't right. It seemed like people had been here since the TV was on, but it wasn't normal for nobody to be around this early in the morning. I silently descended the stairs and went back to the dining room. I looked at the food scattered about. Completely dried up rice. An overturned bowl of miso soup. Package for a side dish bought at the supermarket. I could tell Satoko had definitely been the one who made this. Food was far from Mion's perfection or Ren's gentleness, but it was sincere. Judging by how she cooked for me at the house, and from the type and amount of side dishes, I deduced the meals from last night. The numbers stamped onto the food packages read 830620. June 20th, 1983. That was yesterday. There was food for two, which meant that this was last night's dinner, and Satoko's uncle would have been here then. Stop it, Keiichi. Don't even think about saying the word impossible again. Anyway, her uncle was here last night. That much was the truth. He had found fault with Satoko's food, thrown the bowl of miso soup, and flung the rest everywhere. Hidden deep within my feelings of calm and composure was a lit flame of anger and a curse. Should I have ever shown this man any mercy? Heard the sound again, one from afore, like a water boiler. Where was it coming from? The first floor? But where? The bathroom, maybe? What's going on? I'm so sus. Oh god. I could hear the noise coming from the other side of the frosted glass at the far end of the changing room. That would have been the sound of a water boiler for the bath. Steam was enshrouding the glass door, and the heat from it was leaking into the changing room where I was standing too. My misgivings deepened. People didn't normally take a bath this early in the morning. If one did, then it would mean that this house, time had been stopped ever since some moment last night. Whistle, whistle, whistle. Was it being reheated? The water boiler in the bathroom had been active this whole time. I checked in the clothing basket and saw Satoko's familiar uniform stuffed into it. The uniform had stains and dried rice stuck to it, certainly not something she could wear today. It's probably from miso soup at the dinner table yesterday. I looked hard at the frosted glass, but I couldn't see anything through all the steam. Then an electric surge ran through my mind. A terrible premonition came over me. But she couldn't possibly have been in there since last night. That would be impossible. But no, in Hinamizawa right now, nothing was impossible. I gulped audibly, and then quietly pulled aside the glass door. Hot, steaming air burst out of the slight opening. The fan wasn't in the changing room, so it went completely white with steam. Just as the hot vapor poured into the changing room, cooler air also flowed into the room with the bath. And I just heard, due to being hit by that air, a very weak moan. That was all I needed to know who it was. Satoko! No answer. Satoko was in the bathtub, surrounded by a thick layer of rising steam. What did she... No. Top half of her body was leaning over the edge of the tub, and she was passed out. The water boiler kept on making a whistling noise, as if angered. I could see the gas flame through a small window. It was roaring at full force, completely blue. Satsuko's entire body was boiled red and flaccid, as though her bones had melted away. She was almost like a doll, as she laid there unconscious. I wasn't sure how many seconds passed as I stared in complete bafflement. I came back to my senses and promptly shut off the boiler. And I dragged Satoko's small body out of the bathtub. The water in it was as hot as the water in a public bath. Was she in this boiling water for the entire night? She'll die. She'll die. Satoko's body was lighter than I'd expected, and I laid her on the floor and wrapped her in a towel. I went back to the bathroom and opened up a vent, creating a path for the cool breeze to come through. Upon the breeze hitting her, Satoko moaned again. It'll be alright, Satoko. It's me, Keiichi. Keiichi. Can you hear me? Keiichi. Satoko recognized me and muttered a response, but I couldn't really tell what she was saying. Her eyes were muddy and unfocused. I could tell she wasn't completely conscious. On closer inspection, her limbs and waist were twitching slightly. This was way worse than normal overheating. It was dangerous. Didn't they call this heat stroke? Think, what would a teacher do if a girl was passed out in the middle of the summer during a marathon in gym class or something? Turned on the water faucet in the kitchen all the way on and soaked a towel in it. Then I took the cold towel and pressed it onto Satoko's forehead. Satoko reacted harshly to the coldness and let out a muffled voice. For burns, right, he would soak a burn spot under running water. Then could I run cold water in the shower and cool her off like that? No, if it was that sudden, it wouldn't be good for her heart, and she'd go into shock. I think I read that once before. That is correct. This was just about as much nursing as I could possibly give her. Anything more than this would be too much for the likes of an amateur. What happened, Satoko? You alright now? I will. Your Nini will save you for sure. 5,039? 5,040? Huh? What was Satoko reciting under her breath? I brought my ear to her mouth to make out the mysterious spell-like words she kept saying. At that moment, I understood what they were for. Satoko, you're counting? Bro, this is like a Kaneki moment, right? What the heck? Why? People tell little kids in the bath to count to 100 a lot, right? Satoko was counting like that. But 5,039? You moron? How long were you supposed to count in your own bathtub? 10,000. I doubted my ears and doubted her common sense. 10,000? You're a freaking idiot. What kind of dumbass can count to 10,000? There's no way you could do that. He boiled to death before he got that far. Why were you... My uncle... Last night, her uncle flew into a rage at the dinner she'd made, saying it stunk and was inedible. Satoko didn't understand what on earth he'd meant. It wasn't much different than what she'd usually made for him. Maybe he hated the smell of pickled vegetables he'd bought in particular. Her uncle then decided the stink was originating from Satoko, and shouted at her that she would never ever took baths. And then he put Satoko in the boiling water and told her not to come out until she counted to... I'll kill you! I snapped and exploded. Raising the newspaper-wrapped hatchet, I stampeded through the house. Searched for anything, traces, signs, smells, vibrations, heartbeats. The war cry I raced up the stairs with such force I would have stomped a hole through them. I found the futon in the room I thought to be her uncle's, and well aware he wasn't sleeping in it, I bashed it with the hatchet. Did he run into the closet? I'll bust the entire closet down, door and all. If he's not there, maybe there's a secret door. Any switches or levers in the wall here? I smashed into the wall after wall with the hatchet, crushing them. Dust rose into the air, and broken pieces scattered about the floor. Smashed all the glass windows too, for good measure. Oh. I destroyed everything beyond recognition in her uncle's room. My reason finally kicked in and suppressed my emotions. Anyway, her uncle wasn't in the house right now. I'd have to leave killing him until later. Right now, I'd have to do something about Satoko. Bye-bye, Brad. Went back to the changing room. Satoko was still lying limp on the floor. There was nothing more like an amateur like me could do for her. I needed to take her to the clinic. Coach had treated me like a lunatic yesterday and tried to lock me up in a mental hospital. I never wanted to see his damn face again, but still, I needed to go to the infirmary one more time. I needed to have a doctor look at Satoko. I thought about putting her in the dirty uniform lying in the laundry basket, but I had no experience dressing someone, so it'd be pretty difficult. Shit, I don't have time to be wasting here. Eventually gave up on clothing her and decided to carry her in the bath towel. The clinic was close to Satoko's house. It would be way faster to carry her there than to call 119 and get an ambulance. I threw the biggest towel I could find over her and prompted her to stand. Can you stand? I'll carry you over to the clinic. Thank you. Her words sounded clearer than before. She was starting to come back. I cried tears of relief just knowing she'd improved even a little bit. Satoko turned over so she was lying on her face, and then put up a weak struggle to get up on her knee. I smoothly swept her up and put her on my back. The towel I put on her seemed like it was about to fall off. Towel. It hurts. We'll be there soon. It won't be long, so stay strong. It didn't hurt one bit to carry Satoko. She was light. Too light. The lightness actually made me uneasy. Outside, it had gotten hotter, as though eager to attack Satoko. Fucking cicadas! Why did I have to choose this morning to get so hot out? I didn't have time to swear at them. Clinic was this way. Hoisting Satoko on my back, I broke into a trot. Oh, jeez. I wonder how well this is going to go. As soon as EDA sees him, he's just gonna be like, oh, lock him up, lock him up. The hilly road to the clinic, with which I had never had difficulties before, was now torturous. Big beads of sweat formed on my brow, and at some point my breath had grown faint. The hatchet in my belt was heavy and made it hard to walk. I considered leaving it, but I couldn't let it go, at least not while Satoko's uncle was still breathing. The signboard for the EDA clinic came into sight. I quickly noticed something was odd, so I stopped. Several red revolving lights were flashing at the clinic. 3 police cars were parked in the parking lot with their lights on. There didn't need to be much else to inform me if something happened. I didn't want to see Coach, so I planned to leave Satoko in the clinic waiting room and give the receptionist a message. But with that police officer Oishi here, I couldn't go inside so carelessly. What's going on? Why are there so many police cars? Oh, of course, we need a sprite for this. Jesus Christ. I gently put Satoko down in the shade of a thicket. I don't know. I'll go see what happens, so you stay here for a moment. Leaving a lady in a place like this wearing nothing but a bath towel. Simply unforgivable. If you can still fire off those insults, you'll be fine. I'll be right back, I added, getting to my feet. Cautious of my surroundings, I hid myself behind a car and got closer to the officers grouped up at the clinic's entrance. Overheard an officer wearing a necktie, probably their leader, and a white-robed doctor having a discussion about something. The doctor didn't seem to be Coach. He was one of those who Coach told to make the tea yesterday. You were the first one to find it since you were on morning duty? So then, what did it look like? He was sitting on the sofa in the head office. He looked like he was taking a nap. There was a jug and an empty bottle of sleep medication on his desk. So he immediately thought that he had tried to commit suicide with it. What else? His high temperature and incontinence indicated a severe disturbance of consciousness. Seemed like a typical case of sleeping pill poisoning, so I immediately began to treat him. Without calling the police or an ambulance? This is a hospital and I'm a doctor. Since his life was in danger, it was my job to treat him as once. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yes, I understand. Okay, what else? His breathing was in disarray, so I put him on a respirator. Also administered breathing stimulants. Had no effect, so I prepared a medical ventilator and... right. So in other words, you did what you could, but it wasn't enough. That's right, that's it, right? You reported this as soon as he died? Yes. It was very unfortunate that we were unable to save him. Just then, a radio in one of the police cars started to buzz, producing a broken mechanical voice. This is HQ, this is HQ. Komiyama-san, can you hear me? Over. Hello, this is Komiyama. We've come up with something. Looks like you committed suicide with sleeping pills. No notes or anything. Suicide? What the heck were they talking about? Someone had committed suicide at the clinic. But who? I could think of one person it could be. I could think of one person. I wish Takano-san dead and she died the next day. And yesterday I wish Coach was- Wait! No way! Yesterday I wish Coach was dead. No way, no way, no way. No way, Idio's freaking dead. Then, did he have... Did he use sleeping medication regularly? I don't really know. He didn't normally complain he was tired or wanted to die. Well, Irie Sensei was normally so, well, himself. He never acted like that. No! Oh my god! Dude! Keiichi has a superpower. Oh. What the heck? He really has a superpower. He wishes people dead. Yeah, maybe Keiichi can actually curse people. That's insane. Oh my god. So I was right. Irie Sensei. They were talking about Coach. Coach killed himself. Why would he do that? Couldn't have been any reason he wanted to die. The only reason that came to mind is because I wanted him dead. This world was insane. If I wanted someone dead, they'd die. That was the kind of world this was. Then what about Oishi? What happened to him? If people really died because I wanted them to, then something should have happened to him too. Send you back up. The chief wants you to leave the rest to them and get back to searching for Oishi's car. Yes, sir. Please excuse me then. Oishi's gone too! Looks like we're getting relieved here, so please leave everything as it is right now. Alright, let's go. The officers nodded and split up into the patrol cars. They just say, searching for Oishi's car. Searching for his car. That meant he had gone missing? Takano-san, Coach, and Oishi. And I wished for it. The very next day, they disappeared. No matter how angry you were when you said you wished someone was dead, it didn't normally happen. Everyone knew just wishing for it wouldn't make them dead. That's why people would utter such curses so lightly. But the curses I uttered were being granted. At the time, I hadn't even been walking, and yet, tap, I heard a footstep. And it wasn't only one this time. Tap, they came from behind, and they stood right behind me, reaching a hand for my shoulder. It's just Satoko, chill. Yeah. Would you mind telling me what's going on? What? Satoko? Don't scare me like that. I'm the scared one here. I'd prefer if you didn't shout so suddenly. It was Satoko. Her eyes were still unstable, unfocused, but she seemed able to at least walk on her own now. Looked far better now to compare to her earlier exhausted state. How do you feel? Are you better? My head still hurts, but I can't stay outside looking like this forever. She gave a smile, show of courage, but her legs were still shaky. Anyway, what on earth is going on? From what I heard the police talking about, Coach apparently committed suicide. Eh? Satoko was at a loss for words. Her face grew paler and paler. I could tell she was doubting her own ears. Keiichi-san, is that true? I didn't mishear you? Yeah, do you need to tell her this right now? She asked. So you know. That's what I heard. He said Irie Sensei killed himself with sleeping pills. Satoko went down on her knees and broke out in tears. It can't be. Coach, he would never ever kill himself. I watched Satoko crying and clawing at the grass. I felt myself trapped by guilt and remorse. I got so angry that Coach was treating me like a madman yesterday, that he'd betrayed me, that I thought I'd be better off dead. But even Coach, who, to me, deserved to die, still must have had people who loved and respected him, like Satoko here. In my selfish, egotistical anger, I wished for his death, and it was granted. And now Satoko was crying hysterically as a result. The guilt tore at my heart. I worked myself up to murder for Satoko's sake. I decided I wanted Satoko to be happy. But was that really all it took? Murder meant taking someone's life. It meant making everyone attached to that person sad. In Satoko's uncle's case, of course, nobody would be sad. But I didn't feel a sense of guilt at all. But Coach's death was different. I had wanted to make Satoko happy. That had resulted in me inflicting a deep sadness upon her, hadn't it? But Coach killed himself. It wasn't my... Satoko still hadn't stopped crying, and she seemed to be a little calmer now. Wiping her tears, she stood up. I'm sorry. Oh, and the only thing I could say to her was an apology. Why are you apologizing? Well, yesterday I got into a fight with Coach. I thought I wanted him to die. I wanted it, so he really... Satoko looked at me dubiously for a few moments. Eventually her expression softened as she interpreted my words in her own way. It isn't your fault, Keiichi-san. Coach was an adult too. He felt like there was something he had to give his life for, and chose to do it after a lot of worrying and suffering. Not anyone's fault. He smiled a little, trying to comfort me. Yeah, do you need to tell her this too? Just get her to a doctor. I know, right? I do not want to be naked forever. I want some clothes. Are you okay? Shouldn't you get someone at the clinic to... I won't die from putting on clothes before going. Satoko readjusted her bath towel and started back along the path. Her stride was wobbly and it didn't look like she had recovered as much as he let on. First, Satoko tried to go back home, but it was time of morning when people were going to work and to school, so seeing people walking around, she thought better of it. She must have been pretty embarrassed wearing only the towel. I'm going to Rika's house. My clothes should be there. Well, what's wrong? Keiichi-san? Satoko noticed how I was hanging my head and spoke to me. Despite how he must have come off, Coach was an adult, alright? He would certainly not have killed himself after a petty fight with you, Keiichi-san. Please stop blaming yourself. First I thought it was a coincidence, but with 3 people now, I couldn't discard the possibility. There's no such thing as impossible in this world. These past few days haven't made any sense. What hasn't? Satoko seemed to be having trouble breathing, but she still tried to listen to what I had to say. At the Tatarigoroshi festival the day before last, you went home on the way there, right? And I went there and had a lot of fun? So it would seem. I do apologize for getting so upset with you about it. Let's go remember how she blew up at me in the classroom yesterday and bowed to me a little. If I said I actually didn't go to the festival at all, would you believe me? Satoko looked at me, confused. Couldn't help it, of course. Of course I wouldn't believe you. What are you gone about? You wouldn't, right? I don't believe it either. I mean, I didn't go to the festival, but everyone's saying I hung out with them there. Nobody would believe it, right? Are you being serious? Yeah. Ever since the night of Watanagashi, everything's been messed up. His weird footsteps suddenly started following me around everywhere. The blood drained from Satoko's expression. Footsteps? Following you? Yeah. Thought it was just my imagination at first, but they stayed with me. Probably still there. Can't tell them apart now because of your footsteps, though. Satoko took a long and hard look at me. Maybe she was doubting my sanity. Coach did the same thing. I mean, why wouldn't he, after telling him this? The more I thought about it, the more I was unable to endure the feeling that my hatred for Coach had been meaningless. On the day of Watanagashi, I didn't go. I was doing something else. The whole time. I wasn't sleeping or unconscious or anything. It was not possible that I walked to the festival in my sleep and forgot about it afterwards.
That is quite strange. And how are you at the festival?
That's what I mean. I didn't go to the festival. No. Can't let myself get emotional. If I get agitated now, that'd be like proving that there's something wrong with my head. Sorry. Well, nobody believes me, so yeah.
That is what you say, Keiichi-san. Then I'll believe you. Then what?
That night, I saw Takano-san, and it felt like she was looking down on me, so I made a wish. Wish that she would die. Takano-san does have that sort of air about her, doesn't she?
Takano-san does have that sort of air about her, doesn't she? I cannot say that I don't understand how you feel.
Did you know that Takano-san died? Happened yesterday. Apparently she was burned alive somewhere.
Is that true? She died?
I wished for her to die. The next day, she was dead. And Oishi from the police, too. Do you know him? That annoying and fat detective guy? Satoko nodded a little.
I heard from the police earlier.
I heard from the police earlier, but apparently he went missing. And yesterday, actually, I wished that he would die.
Is all this true?
I'm not lying. I don't want to believe it either, but it's true. Takano-san, Coach, and Oishi, I wanted them dead, and then they really died. For a little while, Satoko was at a loss. Long silence ensued.
Oh, what a scary story. I should be sure not to get on your bad side, Keiichi-san.
And that's not all. There's something even stranger about your uncle. I would rather
you not talk about my uncle.
He was there yesterday, right? At your house?
Could we please stop talking about him? I don't want to.
It's impossible. He couldn't have been there.
I said stop talking about him. No. No.
The man couldn't have been there after the night of Watanagashi. Because I...
No. No more, please. No more about that man.
I killed him. With my own hands. Even the cicadas stopped crying. Her face was streaked with tears, and it stiffened even more as she looked at me in disbelief. On the night of Watanagashi Festival, I killed your uncle. So it's impossible that he could have gone back home. But still, he went back. And last night he found fault with the dinner you had made him. He yelled all sorts of things at you and then basically boiled you in the bathtub. That couldn't possibly have happened. So I wanted to make sure I actually killed him, so yesterday I went to dig up the corpse I buried, but the body wasn't there. Is that even possible? I killed him for sure, but there was no body. And he went home like nothing happened, home to you, and that wasn't supposed to happen, was it? Satoko's entire body stiffened. She was shrinking away, like there was someone in front of her about to hurt her. You probably think I've gone a little crazy, don't you? I don't blame you. Can't believe it myself.
Keiichi-san, I think you're very confused after all the people you wished were dead coincidentally died. You're just in shock at Coach's suicide and you're really upset. I think you should stay home from school today and rest. I'll be fine, so please take care of yourself.
Satoko spoke like she understood me, but she also told me to go home. I see the revolution in her face. I knew that she didn't want to be around me anymore. Once I show you to the clinic, I'll go home. My legs are still shaking, aren't they? It would be terrible if you collapsed halfway there.
Really, I'm fine now. I don't want you to expose my naked self to a man any more than this.
Wobbled up the shrine steps, looking that she was about to fall. Immediately ran up to her and helped her stay on her feet. On her feet! On her feet! Oh my god. But then Satoko promptly jumped away from me. That outright rejection hurt a lot. When she got to the top of the stairs, her breathing was ragged, and she wasn't even looking at me. At this point, I was being ignored. Well, it was more like she didn't want to have anything to do with me, and it was a feeling of rejection. And that hurt my heart more than any blade could have. That was the path I chose for her sake. To be treated like this at the end of it all was just so saddening. Don't be naive, Keiichi Maebara. You never wanted to be repaid in the first place. You didn't do it so that Satoko would thank you. You did it so Satoko would be happy. And that was what led to this ending. Rika-chan's house was a disaster prevention storehouse used by the town council. If you went past it a little further to the shrine grounds, you'd apparently reach the back of the assembly hall. Satoko was heading there, walking quickly, as gravel under her feet crunching as she went. Did she want to get there as soon as possible, or did she want to run away? I couldn't tell. And then I heard the vigorous sound of wings flapping. Turned around and saw a crow. I hadn't seen many crows since coming to Hinamizawa. Saw them a lot in my old town, though. On garbage day, they'd flock to trash collection points, peck through the bags with their beaks, drag out the contents, and have a feast. As I was remembering that, I saw a few crows flocking around the shrine's donation box. And I thought how terrible it was for someone to leave a garbage bag in a place like that. Cicadas quieted. Breathing stopped. Thoughts ceased. Even time came to a halt. I ran over to where the crows were flocking. I ran there, in order to drive a horrible idea out of my mind. I definitely hadn't wanted this. There's no way I would ever wish for this, even by my mistake. This was not. When they noticed my vicious approach, the crows all flapped upwards, fleeing into the sky. When the crows' big black bodies flew away, they exposed the garbage bag. Rika? What? What had I seen there? A scream had escaped from my throat before I understood what I was looking at. What was this? Delta came over as well, realizing something had happened. She looked over my shoulder, and then she screamed as well. This wasn't. Garbage bag was crimson, dyed in fresh blood. Enough of this stupid roundabout way of saying it. That's right. Yes, it was Rika-chan. Our friend, Satoko's best friend. Always easygoing, clever as a cat, but so cute you couldn't hate her. Friend Rika-chan, Rika-chan was stark naked. She was face up, limbs sprawled. Her eyes were like glass, just staring up into the sky. And, Rika! Satoko broke down crying on the spot, and yet she still couldn't approach her friend's remains. Crows had gone through the garbage bag and they dragged out an apple peel, spread it all over. Oh no, crows, they couldn't do this. On the spot, I started vomiting. The sour taste became a bitter one as I threw up over and over again. Rika-chan, her stomach was cut wide open, vertically, completely open. Rika! What? Crows couldn't have done this. From her open stomach. Her organs, her bowels were dragged out, like children's toys left all over the floor. The unbelievable sight induced oxygen deprivation in my brain. Hell left my vision, a pounding headache, dizzy, and I wanted to vomit. It was like the nightmarish remains of a ceremonial killing. Someone, somewhere, had killed Rika-chan, brought her here. Shut up. No Nipa. Laid her here with her limbs sprawled out, and then cut open her stomach and dragged out her intestines. Red and pink viscera were sticking out of her gut. Her intestines were scattered in every direction, like they had been for fun. The entire ground was covered in an ocean of red and black. A few of the crows had hopped around inside the ocean. They walked through the sea of blood, leaving bloody footprints. In those footprints, there were several still left on Rika-chan's body. Those sinister prints made it seem even more like a bizarre ritual killing. I may have wished for Takano-san and Coach and Oishi to die, but I didn't remember ever wishing for Rika-chan's death. Yeah, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Stumbled backwards and stepped on a newspaper. Newspaper? In a place like this? Newspaper was what was covering my hatchet. I'd kept it wrapped on my belt in order to carry Satoko. That newspaper had fallen off. Sheesh, don't scare me like that. Bent down to pick it up, and then Satoko looked at me with such disbelief as I'd never seen. Froze. She was looking straight at me. At the hatchet. On my belt. Oh my god. Huh? Calm down, Satoko. This isn't what it looks like. Satoko, trembling madly, backed away. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't... murder. She didn't care at all that she was exposing herself through the towel. She was just trembled and tried to step back from the demon in front of her. Satoko, please, calm down. Please, relax. Satoko. No, no. Screaming weakly, Satoko began to run unsteadily. Run away, that is. Wait, please wait, Satoko. You're wrong. That's not it. The way she ran, it was so weak, so slow. So if I wanted to go after her, I could have caught up. But if I tried to grab Satoko's shoulder or something right now, she might actually go crazy. So I had to follow her and try to clear this up. You killed Takano-san, and Coach, and Oishi-san, didn't you? You killed my uncle, and then you killed Rika. You murderer. No, it wasn't me. I didn't kill her. What are you saying? You just said it yourself, did you not? You wanted them to die, and then everyone died, didn't they? Well, no. I was wishing that they were dead. That couldn't. You killed my uncle. Uncle confirmed dead? Yeah, that's true. What? That's weird. You don't even remember what you did, do you? How can I trust a person like you? Didn't your memory of killing them just slip your mind? No, maybe you're only pretending not to remember. Besides, what is that hatchet for? Try explaining that. It's for... See, Keiji-san, you're a killer, aren't you? Why did you do it? You were a little mean, but you were fun and kind. And once I even thought you might be my real Nini. Why did you turn into this? Might have been able to slowly answer each one of Satoko's questions at a time. But in this situation, explaining my innocence in such a short period of time was impossible. I mean, I didn't even know if I was really innocent anyway. At the very least, I killed Satoko's uncle. There's no body, but I killed him. Without a doubt. At that point, I was far from innocent. And I wish Takano-san, Coach, and Oishi were dead. And that verse of mine was granted. When I wished for Takano-san to die, I didn't think of it as any more than a normal thing you'd say to someone you didn't like. But then she actually did die, and I realized that if I wanted people to die, they would. And hoping it would happen again, I cursed Oishi, Coach, and Oishi into the same fate. So even ignoring Takano-san's death, Coach's and Oishi's were completely premeditated crimes. Was I a killer? just like Satoko said? Was I unable to distinguish between illusion and reality and turning into a demon without remembering it? Becoming a killer who carried out Yashiro-sama's curse? No, that couldn't be. It was impossible. Damn it. The very word impossible was impossible in Hinamizawa right now. How many freaking times have I said that word these past 3 days? Satoko started crying again and was walking unsteadily. First it felt like she was still running, but now it was like she was walking away crying from someone bullying her.
Why? Why did things turn out this way?
Why? Why? If there was an answer to that, then I wanted to know it too. Why? Why had it turned out like this?
After Nini went away, I was lonely for a long time. But then Keiji-san transferred to our school, and everyone was happy again. It was fun again. Every day was beautiful.
Yeah, he was right. Those days were bright and beautiful. And yet, after that, Satsuko and I shouted the exact same thing. How did it turn out like this? The cicadas were sneering at the spectacle, our strange game of tag. Shut up, shut up, shut up. Eventually I heard the murmuring of a stream. The forest parted, a suspension bridge appeared. Satsuko was crossing dangerously, wobbling as though she might fall at any moment. When I stepped onto the bridge, it swayed a lot, causing Satsuko to stagger and fall on the spot. Satsuko, are you okay?
Don't come near me. You murderer.
Satsuko shouted, her hatred made very clear. It was sad. Words could cut, and this weren't flowing from my eyes. Would have been blood for sure.
Why did you turn out this way? Keiji-san, I really liked you.
I wanted to go up to her and give her a hand, but the distance between us was uncrossable. If I got any closer, Satsuko would have started shouting again, and say things that would hurt me deeply again. So I couldn't approach any closer than this. Satsuko, I don't know how things turned out like this either. But I can say this. I wasn't the one who killed Rika-chan. At least that is true.
Please stop being so absurd. Why do you expect me to believe anything that someone who can't even rely on his own memories has to say?
I tightened my hands into fists. This was mortifying. I wasn't crazy. Hinamizawa was crazy, ever since I wandered into it lost on that one night. Insane world, where I was at the festival when I wasn't, and the uncle I killed was alive, where death would just come by wishing for it. It was this world's fault. Mion and Rena started acting strangely, like they were possessed by something too, and Coach wouldn't believe anything I had to say. And even Satsuko, who I should have protected, was yelling at me like this. The price for killing a man supposed to be this high. Was I really going to be forced to stay in such a bitter world? I did the right thing. At least I wanted to. So then, why? I hated it every time I asked why. The day Satsuko and I enjoyed in peace went so wrong. Satsuko, please believe me. I'm not a murderer.
And what is that hatchet for? Can you give a convincing explanation for that?
Is this hatchet scaring you? Okay, I'll throw it away. That's what you want, right? Satsuko didn't nod, but she seemed to be in agreement with that proposition. Clumsily took the hatchet out of my belt and dropped it over the side of the bridge into the stream below. There, it's gone. Now you'll listen to me, right?
Think I'll let my guard down just because you got rid of your weapon? Keiji-san, you're strong. It would be easy for you to strangle me with your bare hands.
Like how I would ever want to kill Satsuko. You idiot. And what should I do? Should I put my hands on my head?
Yes, why don't you? Please put your hands on your head and face the other way.
It's a cunning plan, much like the one she used during club activities. Putting my hands on my head and turning away would mean I couldn't attack Satsuko very easily. immediately requested to her request, since it would make her feel better. Is this alright? Please listen to what I have to say. Satoko stood up and carefully approached me from behind. Then she actually came up right behind me. She was so close, and yet I was so sad that I wasn't allowed to turn around.
I sort of think I understand. But it isn't your fault, Keiichi-san.
Huh?
I think probably you have just been possessed by something evil.
Huh?
Until before, I thought Keiichi-san was a killer. But now I know. After looking at your eyes.
I could hear that Satoko was still crying, but her voice was gentle just the same.
Keiichi-san, you could never kill someone. Something simply possessed his body and made him do evil things.
Is she speaking literally right now? You're trying to admonish me. Couldn't tell. Come to think of it, maybe...
Come to think of it, maybe they were just possessed, just like Keiichi-san. At the time, I was only thinking I would be killed, so I didn't think about it. And now I understand. That was the work of something evil that possessed you.
Satoko? What are you... It was less like she was talking to me, and more like she was talking to herself, like she was confessing at my back.
I understand, you know. It isn't like I haven't experienced this myself.
Satoko's voice started to become mixed with sobs. Her pained voice tore at my heart. But I didn't know what Satoko was talking about.
I climbed to the top of the ritual storehouse once. It was a few years ago.
What? Once when Satoko was playing hide and seek at the shrine grounds, she climbed onto the roof of the storehouse for ritual implements, but everyone said not to go near, and hid. Then Satoko saw that she could get in through a window meant for ventilation. For Satoko, the word curse was plenty scary, but she was more curious about what was inside the unknown storehouse. She took removed the grating. Okay. Yeah. The grating on the window, which was already hanging off, slid her small body into it and climbed down inside. It was too dark to see much, but after descending she realized just how high up she'd been. Despite the darkness, she could see a few things around her thanks to the faint light coming in from the air window. And to her disappointment, it was just a regular old storehouse. She tried to leave, but the door was locked up tight from outside, and it was made not to open within. She should have gone back out through the ventilation window she'd come in from, but the window was high on the wall, and there was no way she would be able to climb back up. Satoko desperately tried not to cry, and racked her brain in thinking of a way to get up there. There were a lot of birdcage-looking things hanging by chains from the ceiling. She took the hanging chains and strung them along the wall. If she climbed up the bundle of chains, she might be able to manage to climb up to the ventilation window. There was nothing else she could do, so she had to try. And try she did. It was dark and creepy, and she didn't want to stay there forever. The more she thought about that, the more she panicked. She climbed up the bundle of chains. Satoko could hear the clinks and clangs of everything creaking under her weight. And then, just as her hand reached the window, one of the metal fixtures she used to stick the chains on the wall flew off, and the chains all began to pull loudly and furiously every which way. Brought on by the sounds behind her, she managed to get back onto the roof and from the window. Because of the weight of the flailing bundle of chains, the other fixtures broke, and one of the bird cages hanging from the ceiling fell to the floor with a huge noise. Under it was an image of Yashiro-sama, his vessel, and the cage took off one of his arms and trapped some other implements beneath it. It didn't take very long for her to grow scared of what she'd done. That's why her whole family's freaking cursed. That's why. The deafening noise could be heard from the rest of the shrine grounds. A few of the children heard it and gathered around. And of course, Rika was one of them. Rika's father, the shrine priest, with an angry look, ran over. And then, as for what happened next, it was painful to remember. The only one who knew where Rika-chan's parents kept the key to the ritual storehouse was Rika. So he scolded her, saying that this happened because Rika pulled a prank and hid me in there. He was very angry and menacing. Just looking at him was enough to frighten anyone. He exposed Rika's back, took a strangely shaped ritual cane or something, and struck her with it several times. Rika's words at the time, "It wasn't me. It wasn't me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry." That pitiful voice, I still can't get it out of my head. I should have said it was me. I should have said so to save my best friend from that false accusation, without being afraid of Rika's father's terrible temper. Rika gritted her teeth and cried at the crime she didn't remember doing. Ever since then, the world had been strange.
I understand. This is Oyashiro-sama's curse. His judgment for messing up the ritual storehouse and forsaking my best friend.
Oyashiro-sama's curse?
My father and mother too. They vanished in that muddy stream. My mean aunt died too. But then Nini, who loved me more than anyone, ran away from home. And then Keiji-san transferred in, and I thought I'd finally gotten my fun life back. But this time, Keiji-san was possessed. And even Rika got killed.
There's something I heard once. Oyashiro-sama, when he really curses someone, he doesn't kill them right away. He goes in order of your closest friends. After killing them all, he kills that person last. So Keiji-san, the curse got to you too. I'm sure that Ren-san and Mion-san will be cursed next. And then they'll kill and be killed. No, no more. No. Calm down, Satoko. There is no curse. Nobody's trying to torment you. Hey, Sonic Windy Blade, what's going on, bro? Oh, stuff is happening. When I turned around, I was thrust away with amazing force. Even my hands were awkwardly placed on my head. I couldn't take the fall and lost my balance. And I'd been pushed not onto the bridge, but to the side. Towards the stream. No, this can't be happening. Ugh. As one last miracle, I was allowed to grab the cord hanging from the bridge. Far below me was the stream. We were pretty high up, and below were the rocks of all sizes. If I fell, it clearly wouldn't be pretty. The entire bridge was tilting under my body weight. My frail little grip probably wouldn't last another minute before my fingers had to let go. Satoko! Satoko! I didn't understand myself what I meant by shouting her name then. Was I asking her to save me? Or was I asking her why she did this? Finally, everything came back into focus, and I saw Satoko. I was surprised at what an odd expression she had. It was the first time I'd seen it. It was an expression of righteous anger meant only for those who needed to die.
Die, you murderer! Give him back! Get back my Nini! Get back Rika and Mommy and Keiji-san!
What? She screamed. She jerked the bridge to and fro. I didn't have to do that. I was going to fall anyway.
I won't lose to the likes of you. I won't lose to some stupid curse. I will never ever lose to you. You took everyone. I will never lose to you. Not ever.
Satoko, please just let me say one thing. I don't know what my face looked like at this time, but it seemed like it was enough to quell Satoko's agitation. I know that what I did isn't exactly praiseworthy. No. In fact, maybe I should have never done it at all. But I did it because I wanted you to be happy. Please, just believe that.
You, at the very, very end, are still pretending to be Keiji-san.
Satoko didn't seem to have any more desire to listen to what I had to say. For that to happen at the very end like this was tragic. I didn't do any of it so you would praise me. If it made you happy, then that was all that mattered. We were nothing. Without your smile, we were nothing. So after I disappear, please smile. you can get on with your new life by my dying, then please, just smile. Can't you at least promise me that?
Stop speaking. Don't use Keiichi-san's mouth like that. Fall down. Die.
And those were the last words Satoko ever said to me. Those sad, tragic, and altogether unrewarding words. What on earth was I? My desire to make Satoko happy ended up like this. Where did I first go wrong? What was the mistake I made? When did I make it? Was I the crazy one, or was it Hinamizawa? Even after all this, I thought I wasn't crazy at all. It was this eerie world that was crazy. This world I accidentally wandered into that one night. Because that fun world, where I never doubted all the crazy times we had at a club would go on forever, couldn't possibly have transformed into such an abnormal world. That fun world wouldn't have ever ended with this, with Satoko pushing me to my death. In the end, I was going to be swallowed up by this crazy world and disappear. No, I'd probably already disappeared. Yes, probably. On the night of Watanagashi. I'm sure that in the world I really belonged to, I had vanished that night, and everyone was worried. It was laughable that I had taken this long to figure out that I wasn't around anymore. Yashida-sama's curse on the 5th year, with Satoko's uncle dying and me disappearing. In the real world, Satoko had already been freed. Maybe my friends were all lamenting my disappearance, valiantly trying to get back on their feet. And even though they were down to 4 people, the club would reopen. They would have a good time without me, waiting for the day I would come back. I'm sorry, everyone. I couldn't come back home. But this is what I wished for. It was my wish for Satoko's smile and my duty as her Nini. At this point, there will be nobody left to torture you. With Satoshi and I, it took 2 years, but we succeeded. That annoying toothy smile of yours. I wanted to see it one more time. Dies. Rest in peace, Keiichi. Rest in peace. Oh, heck. My pain wasn't gentle or merciful. It was a sharp pain, violent, powerful, and ruthless. The little compassion I had receded in the span of a moment. And now, I could die. I could say goodbye to this insane world. Farewell, praised Hinamizawa. Thanks for giving me a psychic power to kill people whenever I wanted. If you'll still allow it, I'll wish for one last thing. Death of this very world, this crazed Hinamizawa. That nobody would ever again have to find themselves lost here again. Jeez. Keiichi dies. So out of the 3 chapters that we've read, Keiichi dies in 2 of them? What the heck? That's not fair. I wonder if Keiichi actually dies. Yeah, exactly. Research notes! Yay! Yippee! Oishi's not here, so who the heck is gonna have these notes? Maybe they're Takano-san's notes. Oyashiro-sama. Nobody really knows what characters to use to write Oyashiro-sama. Knowing this is hard partly because depending on the time period, he has been called with various titles with subtle changes to his name, and nobody knows the real one. The only thing all time periods agree is that the 4 syllables Oyashi and Ro were always used. There is a theory stating that the shrine, or Yashiro, dedicated to Oyashiro-sama itself became an object of worship, and that people began calling it Oyashiro-sama or Lord Honorable Shrine, but this doesn't make a bit of sense. I don't know whether this is related, but people say the Furude family, the most respected bloodline in terms of worshipping Oyashiro-sama, actually inherited his blood. The legend of the Furude family passed down. For 8 generations in a row, the firstborn child is a girl, and the 8th daughter will be reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama. If we go by this legend, the characters used for Oyashiro-sama's name should be O for honorable, Ya for 8, Shido for a generation. Character assignments are simply something I've thought up. There's no way to verify it. If this is true, then Yashido-sama would have been named as such under the assumption he would come again. Didn't he die in both last chapters? He 100% did in chapter 1, but I can't remember what happened in chapter 2. In chapter 2, he got away. He was going to be killed, but he got away. Yeah. Because he was, like, being tortured by heckin' Mion or whatever. So, yeah. The second coming of an object of worship can be seen in several religions, so this isn't unusual. But a few of these religions call the second coming of their object of worship a day of judgment, or something along those lines. We must not forget they mean it to be the end of the world. Rika Furude, pampered and loved dearly by all the elderly folk in the village. Rumors say she is the 8th generation, and Oyashiro-sama. I do not know the family tree of the Furudes, but at the very least I can confirm that for the past 2 generations, the first child has been a girl. Rika Furude watches over Hinamizawa. If the village were to lose her protection, what would happen? Would peace between man and demon be lost? Would it once again create a hellish landscape where man-eating demons run rampant? Gruesome feast of the demons, who suddenly remembered how delicious we humans were, who would only cry, scream, and run for their lives. What would that look like? Just imagining it is enough to make my heart pound with excitement. Yeah, that's definitely Takano-san's notes. Those are definitely Takano-san's notes. Man. Well, we still have 2 achievements left on Steam, so we've still got a couple bit to go. But no spoilers, Dirk. You keep alluding to stuff that's happening, but stop. But that'll be it. I gotta go work now. Thank you guys for being there with me while I read this. Have a good day, have a good night, and I'll see you guys next time. Okay? Bye-bye. Bye-bye.